Yeah, I like to believe that, yes, he bled all the way home and they followed the blood. That's what I'm going to believe for eternity.
Welcome to the last episode of the first season of the Charlotte Buzz, where we drink beer from local breweries while telling stories about their neighborhoods they're from. I'm Chrissy, and this is Drew.
Today,
Bum, bum, bum.
we're drinking Duck Duck Juice
Duck juice.
from Sweet Union in Indian Trail. It is a pale ale. And it is 5%. I feel like it was like 5.6 or something. What's it saying?
It says 5% on this fancy little tag that also comes with a nice little dinosaur
Sticker.
fossil sticker.
Huh.
I don't really know why. Showed that off to the camera.
Okay.
But, there you go.
Yeah, so 5%.
That's a thing.
I guess. It's a little bit lighter than we're used to.
Oh yeah, pale ale. It's we went to try all the IPAs and they were out of 2 of them. And the one that I was most interested in is their most popular. So that's both encouraging and very sad that we didn't have it. So
They were making a new batch. If you listen to this and go, maybe they'll have it. Apparently they run out pretty quick though. So get in there while you can.
Do you want to? Oh goodness! Do you want to tell us more, or do you want me to try it before?
I mean, if you want to,
Can't handle this growling.
I can leave out the flavor.
Okay, let's start there then.
It says it's an easy drinking pale ale, overflowing with juicy hop character. They whirlpool and double dry hop this pale with Amarillo, Mosaic, Centennial, and Cascade hops for a balanced and aromatic experience. I don't know what whirlpool is.
Couldn't tell you.
I don't know if they get in the hot tub
It's kind
with
of
the
what I
hops.
was picturing. Oh, that's funny. Crisp, clean. I wouldn't say fruity, but I feel like you can, on the back end, kind of
Yeah, I can see that.
like a subtle hint. He's making faces at me like I should know.
Nah.
I mean, it tastes like a beer. It'll drink. I do know that it's like an oat pale ale. And so we did, I think, discuss this at the brewery too, of like, it has a sort of acidic bitter quality to it, but the oats seem to dampen that a little bit. Like it brings it down to a good level where you're not like, ooh, that's really a kick, but it just leaves it at a nice balanced flavor.
Well, the Untapped description does not mention oats at all. I saw that the tag said it.
Yes.
But
The tag says oat pale ale.
this says bright herbal and sweet orange citrus flavor and aroma defines this light-bodied and hazy beer.
Well, I will say...
Barely hazy,
True.
I would say.
When we asked about the IPA that they were out of, they did also say they were slightly altering the recipe to kind of bring out certain flavors and mute other ones after several rounds of it. And so I'm wondering if that's something similar with this.
Yeah.
That it's just slowly changed over time.
Possibly.
But you like the oat beers?
Yeah.
I'm a fan of them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the IPAs, but oat styled beers, or I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever you call it. I like it.
I had their oat porter. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were out of a few things while we were there, so we didn't get to partake in everything that they offered.
But they do have like daily specials where you can either get $1 off a flight, off of different pints, off. There's like a percentage or something off of growlers. So depending on what day you go, you can get some sort of specials. So that's always good.
Yeah, it'll drink for me. I like it. It's another, I think, summer friendly beer. Light.
Yeah.
Doesn't sit heavy on your stomach or anything like that porter did. Or no, what was that one that the blonde that we had was a bit. I don't know.
The Pilsner?
No.
Because we didn't drink a blonde.
Yeah, we did.
You mean at?
Yeah.
Oh, at Sweet Union. I thought you meant on the podcast. Yeah, that's why I was confused.
The no cream, no sugar coffee blonde.
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard to drink.
Yeah.
We got it in a flight. Normally, we'll get a flight and we'll try out a couple of random things, and I'll take a sip or two. And, you know, not my preference, but can admit whether it's a good or bad make. And that one was just hard for both of us to keep down.
Yeah, and then finished that off and then went to the porter. And
it's too much.
Yeah.
Too much.
A lot of heavy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this one's good. We'll definitely drink a couple of glasses of this while we're talking.
Do we have enough to say to drink through a couple of glasses?
I mean, maybe if we drink more and talk less, we could.
Just let people sit here and listen to us glugging.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, what's that? ASMR?
ASMR, yes. That's the thing.
We can just do that. Beer style. No. Don't know if I want to hear that.
There is like maybe like a Michelob commercial or something. It's some sort of, national brand beer commercial where they have the mics and they like crack open the beer, and it's like a girl. So she's got long nails and she like clinks all the way up the glass and pours it. I'm like,
jeez.
And it's a ASMR joke commercial, but it's also like just the sounds of it are just like, ooh, it makes you want a beer. It's like the Kit Kat commercials where they just snap them. And for the longest time, I was like, this is the stupidest commercial. But it like subliminally tricked me where I'm like, ooh, I want to crack a Kit Kat. And
I can't be tricked. Marketing does not work on me.
Yeah. Use a lie.
Anywho.
Hey, you told me to stop talking and to drink. I was trying to drink. So, Sweet Union opened in April of 2017 by a father-son duo. They are in a little strip mall, and their unit of it was long abandoned and long vacant. And prior to that vacancy, it was a Blockbuster. So that was fun.
Whoa.
That was just a fun tidbit.
How must have been vacant for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they did an interview right when they opened, and they said basically that intersection is Indian Trail because there are so many. It's kind of sort of right in the middle of it, and there's just so many people that were living and moving into the area on either side of that intersection that they just felt like it was a really great location in between all of it. They do a lot of homebrew style brews in the brewery. And by that I mean like he's making faces at me because I'm playing with the tape that was around the lid of the growler. They have a smaller batch system that is very reminiscent of the way you would brew through home brewing, I guess.
Which is probably why they're out.
Yeah, and that's what they said is like they go through it so quickly. And it was the third brewery in Union County. Ta-da.
Cool. One interesting fact is you could get hammered at Sweet Union and then walk to Waffle House.
You're not wrong. Or to Cookout.
Yeah. I mean, they have food trucks there, but Waffle House. I mean, you can only eat it when you're drunk. So,
bam.
There you go.
1-2 punch.
Yeah.
That's marketing. But that's what I've got. So we'll be looking at Indian Trail, and as you will probably hear through both of our stories, we struggled hard trying to find information for Indian Trail because everything was basically saying, oh, there's so much to do in Indian Trail. Like 15 minutes away is this and 10 minutes. So it kept pointing to all these places that were not directly in Indian Trail. And so trying to find some of the history was a bit of a challenge, maybe a little bit of a stretch, but
yeah, we found out that we won't have an issue when we finally go to Dream Chasers with Waxhaw.
That is so true.
A lot of good stuff in Waxhaw.
Yeah. But so generally speaking, it'll be an Indian Trail episode, and I'm gonna let you take it away.
Yeah, kind of ties into us not being able to find stuff, plus Indian Trail interesting facts, I guess. They are the largest city in Union County.
Which is like saying a lot.
Yeah. They just barely beat Monroe by like 1,000 people. Huh. But you wouldn't realize that when you go through Indian Trail.
No, I don't.
And they were talking about how they thought that intersection was Indian Trail. I think Indian Trail has 4 intersections.
I'm picturing 2, 3.
Maybe 3, yeah.
Oh, I'm picturing 3 specifically.
So there's the one they're at. There's the Chick-fil-A and Taco Bell, Waffle House, Sweet Union Cookout. And then there's you go a little bit further down Indian Trail Road right there, and there's like Johnny K's.
Oh,
and the building I'm going to talk about, which is like, and it's like right there at their old town hall.
Okay.
Like that's kind of the downtown, air quotes.
Yeah.
And then they have like the Sun Valley area with the movie theater and all of that stuff there. And then there's also, if you keep going down Indian Trail, there's like that intersection where there's more food places like La Unica.
Yep.
And the pizza place.
Aside from the first intersection that you just said, the other 3 were the exact 3 I was thinking of.
Indian Trail is just like blotchy.
Yes, totally. And if I Google mapped to see exactly what the bounds of Indian Trail were, and that's a very good description because there's all these like parts of it that are removed. It's not just a big like chunk.
Solid,
there's all these holes in the middle of it that are not part of Indian Trail, and there's like some are small, some are huge, and there's like Lake Park is this huge thing, and then I don't know, just all these holes. So that the choppiness of that is so perfect.
Yeah, so I think that is like part of the issue of why we couldn't really find anything. Because there's not like a central location, like a central downtown, per se.
Yeah,
it's not like Monroe where there's all these old historical buildings.
Right. There's a very distinct downtown and then outskirts versus
when Indian Trail doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But the part that they do kind of consider downtown is the corner of Indian Trail Road and Unionville Indian Trail Road. So it's right there where Johnny K's is.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Okay.
On that corner, well, first of all, they need to fix the naming system of the roads around here.
It is just like
They're too confusing.
They're too confusing, but it's so like all the trains that we were complaining about it being all those. Because I was looking at that the other day too, just driving around. It's, Indian Trail, Unionville Road. And I'm like, okay, the road goes from Indian Trail to Unionville. I get it, but come on.
That's what, and you have intersections like this that's Unionville Indian Trail Road.
And then Indian Trail
with Indian Trail Road.
Right. What? That's not confusing at all.
But at that intersection is the oldest building in Indian Trail.
Okay.
It is the Condor Gurley Mercantile Store.
Okay.
Was.
Okay.
Early 1900s. So I was going to talk a little bit about John Franklin Condor, one of the part owners.
Can you please give me a first initial of that last name?
C.
Okay.
Condor.
I was like, is this Johnny K himself?
No.
But I understand Johnny K's is a food place, and that's not. But I was like, oh, is it maybe named in his honor? But no, different initial.
He was born in born August 6th, 1875,
All right.
and is one of the founding fathers of Indian Trail. According to the newspaper, he was a prominent merchant and the cultivator of a fine farm.
Ooh, that is some lush language there.
Yeah, those old newspapers, they're
on point.
Gold. So Condor, along with 3 other men, proposed the bill to incorporate Indian Trail.
Hey.
It is said that the main goal for them incorporating Indian Trail was to make it illegal to sell tobacco and alcohol.
Huh.
So within the city limits. So I thought that was pretty...
But go to one of those holes in the middle of the town and you good.
I thought it was pretty...
That is interesting.
Funny and ironic, you know, since we're a beer podcast, to talk about the fella who didn't want to sell alcohol.
Sucker.
Always like, you know, those little tie-ins.
And we're talking about the brewery that's in that.
Yeah.
I love it. Irony. It's a beautiful thing.
Says the North Carolina legislature approved the bill January 9th, 2017.
Hey.
2017.
Yeah, I was like, that's wrong, but I'm going to see where this goes.
The North Carolina legislature approved.
I was like, man, they approved that bill 3 months before homie opened this brewery.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was approved 1907.
All right.
January 9th.
Yes. That's not even close. Like, it's not even a 1917. It was 1907 and 2000. What are you doing?
January 9th, 2017 just rolled. Okay, it felt good.
Okay. Carry on.
Anywho. So, tobacco and alcohol illegal now.
Rude.
And with the way old laws work, I was wondering if maybe it's still illegal.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they just
the
leave
stupidest things, yeah.
But there is a conspiracy.
Oh, I like those. Tell me more.
It's a reach.
That's okay. Those are my favorite things.
So he was part owner of this.
Aren't all conspiracies a reach? Let's start there.
Well, maybe.
Well, some of them, I guess. Carry on.
He was the part owner of the Condor Gurley Mercantile Store, like I mentioned before. But because he was the owner of the store, there are conspiracies that he wanted the town incorporated to make these tobacco and alcohol illegal to stifle the sales of his competition.
Ooh.
And that's pretty much it. There isn't any evidence to back it up at all. Not even sure if any other store existed. And but you know, when I can grab a conspiracy out of something, I'm gonna do that. He helped get the town incorporated, and what does a town need when it becomes incorporated?
A post office.
Yes.
Yes.
The Condor
that
Gurley,
makes it official.
Yeah. The Condor Gurley Mercantile Store was also the home of the post office
of
Indian Trail. And old John Condor himself was the postmaster for a few years.
All right.
Because they probably were putting the bill in and they're like, well, you need a post office.
You can't incorporate if you don't got a post office.
And the other 3 guys who helped propose this bill with him looked at him like, well, you got a store. Like, we don't. We're farmers, so you got to do it.
Yep.
So they got the post office.
Sucks to suck.
And I also found another great robbery article. Much like Matthew's.
Those are my second favorite things beyond conspiracies.
Conspiracies and great robberies.
Yes. It's the best thing about our history around here. It is excellent.
Yeah. So, unlike
I do like that we're coming full circle in our last episode. It's all the pieces are just right together.
So, unlike the great robbery of Matthew's, where there was never a robbery at all.
Correct.
Something was stolen
in
this great robbery. $30.
I was going to say, ooh, but I mean, that's a lot in that time.
Was stolen from the post office and the store cash drawer.
Womp womp.
The fella's name Sam Harkey. And because we know his name, we know that he didn't get away with it.
You're not wrong.
He was caught red-handed.
Ooh.
Possibly quite literally. Upon entering the door of the store/post office, he cut his finger on a piece of tin.
Oof.
Leaving blood stains.
Oof.
They didn't have the ability to do DNA testing
What?
back then.
No.
So, and there's no real... They just said that because of this, they were able to catch him.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that
Like if
entailed.
it left a trail to him, or if it was
Exactly, yeah.
like they caught him trying to bandage his hand and found it, or...
Yeah, I like to believe that, yes, he bled all the way home and they followed the blood. That's what I'm going to believe for eternity. But, you know, they could have like went door to door to all 100 people that lived in Indian Trail and found somebody that had a cut, or just saw him walking around town. You know, he went to the bar and he was flashing money around.
Yeah,
but,
the dry town.
Yeah, but they didn't sell alcohol. So I'm not real sure. They only found $25 on him when they got to him. So he had went on a spending spree.
Yeah.
Got rid of $5 quick. But once they caught him in pure old-timey fashion, he confessed. It's like an old Matlock show. Homie just confesses after you catch him. Like, yeah, I did it.
Let me tell you my whole evil plan right before you foil it. Yeah. Well, all right.
Yeah, I mean, didn't really find much. The store is still there.
Okay.
Still on that corner. It is the oldest building in Indian Trail.
Nice.
Doesn't look like how it used to. It's been remodeled.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We haven't done this in a while, but I could post a picture of the old store.
Okay.
And there was like arches, like let's see how I can explain it. So there was like square windows or rectangle windows with the half circle windows above it.
Yes.
So it made like the arch window type thing. It's not like that anymore. That's why I was trying to figure out, because they didn't list where it was exactly. And I was trying to find it.
Yes.
And it was hard for me because it didn't look the same, but I did find it.
Okay.
It was renovated and turned into a dentist office.
Oh, that's really random for an
old. But it seems like that dentist office has moved to the Monroe area now, and it's a vacant building now.
Okay.
I don't know of anything that's in there now, but just
I mean, it makes me think of like the Grand Theater, where it was, you know, all these storefronts still coming in and out, which is also a little weird, but it had storefronts in the beginning anyway. So it seems weird to have something so contemporary in this historical building, but it was still natural for what it was built for. And so it's not as weird. That just seems really strange of a dentist in like a historical building. Yeah. But
if you know where Johnny K's is, if you're listening to this, it's kind of in like that L-shaped shopping center type deal. Well, it's that building that's like right on the street corner
in the same parking lot.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking across the street.
No, it's in that same right there at Johnny K's.
The thing that screws up the whole parking lot.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Yeah.
Well, all right.
But I mean, it's really all I got. We
take down the post office.
I think we can find more on Indian Trail.
Okay.
There's an Indian Trail Historical and Arts Society or something on Facebook, and he posts more of like genealogy. So like if you're from the area, have family from the area, you can probably find great information from this guy.
Yes.
They did make a book, and it is for sale at Johnny K's.
Oh,
apparently.
All right.
So I think if we go pick that up, maybe check out there's a library. I think we can find some more stuff on them for later.
Yeah.
We just
Thankfully, we've only got one brewery in that town for now, and we can come back around.
But if we come back around, we'll definitely know that we need to dive deeper. And I think they'll have plenty of stuff.
I think that's kind of not the full theme of this season, but season 1, I think, has been a lot of like, let's dip our toes in and see. Certain places do publish everything very well online, and certain places don't at all. And so just finding the right avenues to get the information based on each town. And each town has their own little flair for it. So
yeah, but where Matthews, I kind of felt like we weren't gonna find anything, even if we went looking.
Yeah.
Indian Trail, I think there's a lot there. Mm-hmm. We'll have to dig it up, and it'll be easier to dig up. Like Matthews,
which is strange because Indian Trail isn't like historical Indian Trail. Like that's why it's not as readily available, because it's not kind of marketed as a historical piece, even though that's the history is obviously there somewhere, where Matthews is marketed that way, and it's just not ignored, but kind of, just held too close to chest to really process.
I don't know, look at this. Yeah, it's the Indian Trail Arts and Historical Society.
We'll link it below.
Yes, and they have, there's like one guy who runs it. I was trying to find his name. Mm-hmm. Well, no, it says it's founded by a lot of people.
But it's probably just like one guy that's the main administrator of it. Let's call it that.
Let's see. Yeah, Donald Moore. Mm-hmm. More interested in like helping people find their families.
Yeah, which is really cool.
He has like the graduation list from Indian Trail High School from like the 50s, 60s.
That's awesome.
He's like all on their Facebook page too.
I love that.
But they have a book, $20, and for sale at Johnny K's and a couple other places. But nice. I think it's there, and he has it. Mm-hmm. And so I think we'll be able to find something else. Next time.
That's awesome. See, like that's the kind of stuff that's really interesting to me, just because personally, and I realize I'm not from the area, but just my family heritage and lineage and all of that is so limited. And we had to do reports in school of, who are your ancestors? Like, what's your origins? What kind of mutt are you? Being in America, you're some sort of mutt from somewhere. And I never got straight answers. My parents didn't make any sense. Like, my mom was like, I'm half Irish, so you're half Irish. I was like, that would mean I'm a quarter Irish, and you're not half Irish. So I don't know, And so I got a basic answer of, your X, Y, and Z, but I don't know anybody past my immediate grandparents. And so, like, that kind of stuff is just so fascinating that it exists. And I've not put the personal time in for my own family, but to, like, seek it out. But just knowing these things exist gives me kind of, like, hope and excitement that other people can get that, and I just need to get off my butt and do it for myself if I want. But
and it seems like, what was it, Donald?
Yes.
Seems like Donald likes to do it for other people.
Right, and that's what's so great is people who love, like, I don't know my own stuff because I'm too lazy, because I want to know, but I have other things that have to be prioritized above going and searching all this out. But for somebody else who, like, this is my awesome hobby, I want to seek this out, so I'll just keep going for every single person. Like, rock on. Yeah, help us out.
Yeah. People like Donald, for season 2, we're going to have to seek out, meet.
Yeah, do some interviews and stuff. Maybe see if we can get him on the show.
He seems like he loves talking about it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That's the kind of people you need to meet for these types of podcasts.
Oh, show.
He's also asking for, if you are from Indian Trail and have old family photos, to send them in.
Do it.
He'll post them on the Facebooks, and
even if it's a photo of people you don't know.
Yeah.
Do it for the people like me who don't know their family history, and he'll find it for them.
Yeah, he did. Like, he posted a picture of, like, the 1950s something Indian Trail High School women's basketball team.
That's awesome. Like, this is so random.
And he's like,
awesome.
I don't know any of these people, but if you know them, please tell us. Like, list who they are. They lost 43 to 14.
No, that's not awesome. But
but
the principle is really cool, yeah.
But it's there. We just need to get it. And
yeah.
So I got Condor.
That's awesome. I love it.
That little story.
Cool. Well, as per usual, I'm going to take us into a quick history of Indian Trail itself, which by quick history, I mean give you about 4 bullet points and then I'll move on and dive into a little bit more, I guess, sort of behind the name of the town. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have to wrap the season up. What? All right. So Indian Trail was founded originally in 1861.
What?
It was originally a farming community. Shocker. In 1874, we had the Seaboard Line, which we talked about earlier, that went from Charlotte to Monroe, came straight through the town, helped build it all up, kind of change a little bit from farming to a little bit more of the shops and those kinds of things, get you a post office, and bam, incorporated in 1907. It is now known as a family town with a lot of festivals and parades and all of that kind of stuff. And it was named for a footpath that the Native Americans from that area originally had. It started out as like a really nondescript set of kind of chaotic footpaths between little neighborhoods and things like that. And then when the settlers came in and started doing a lot more trading with the Indians, there was a very distinct path that grew from Petersburg, Virginia, all the way down into the Waxhaw area. And so it went straight through this part of town and became called Indian Trail. Became called.
Yep.
That was really wrong. Nonetheless.
It did become called.
Yes. But that's, pretty much it for the town of Indian Trail. And so, again, my information is a little bit of a stretch, not entirely, but a little more focused actually in the Waxhaw area. But just by default, I'm going to be looking a little bit more at the Waxhaw Indians and the sort of driving force behind the trail that named the town.
One thing.
Tell me.
Since we talked about Indian, one thing I found interesting was that there was no mention of a meal. I have yet to come across when every other town we've talked to had 17 meals.
Yes.
This one
wasn't it? This was more Indian focused than it was like, mill focused.
Yeah, more like trade.
Yeah, maybe. So instead of creating their own stuff, it was more the trade center for other people making stuff. Yeah. And that was something I did read was, and I didn't write it down, but a lot of, I think it was the Native Americans, they had originally created so many things, like it was just part of their tradition to make certain things. Yes, maize, hello. But as the settlers started trading more with them, they started focusing on other things and stopped kind of making and producing certain things because it was just easier to trade and all that. So it was just a interesting commentary that the shift started happening with the trading. But, that's supply and demand for you.
Yeah.
But so the trail itself is also known, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize to anyone who may or may not be offended by it. But I suck at words, says the word nerd. So it is also known as the Okanichi Path.
That's what I would call it.
All right.
Because I've heard that before.
And they kind of approximate it to Interstate 85, where it's just this north-south trading route type of deal. Just a little old school highway to get people to be able to trade everything off. The path was primarily used for trading and for the settlers to communicate with the Native Americans, to use them as guides for continued exploration. And it was primarily focused on the fur trade in the late 17th century.
What type of furs?
I do not know. Okay. I think furs were one of the few things they said specifically with the changing dynamics of what was being produced. Like fur specifically is what shifted between the two groups. One started overproducing, one started underproducing because it was just easier for one over the other. I forget which way that went though.
Well, I can't imagine what type of furs would be down here besides fox.
Well, that's what I think it was.
Maybe black bear.
it seems backwards to me, which is why I just struggled with it. But I genuinely think it was the Indians who stopped producing fur and started trading for
like
it
cotton
from further north.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not really sure, but I believe that was the way it shifted, that it was the settlers providing the fur over the Indians.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was the way it flushed out. So the Waxhaw Indians themselves were also known as the Flathead Indians.
Okay.
And this is because they have a custom of flattening their foreheads as infants. Mm-hmm. And I read probably 4 or 5 different accounts on the Waxhaw Indians, and all of them are very brief. They all kind of touch on the same things, but they touch on the same things with entirely different information.
Okay, that's cool.
So, like, one account said that they bind the infants to a flat board to flatten their forehead. Other ones said...
So face down?
I don't know. I don't think they, like, tied them to the ground, but, like, stuck a board to their head and tied it to them. Other people said that they put sandbags on their forehead. And then there were some people that specifically made sure to say it was not harming the child, like, you know, what super, it's not hurting anybody to do this. It's just a whatever. But nonetheless, every account did say that they've intentionally flattened their foreheads, kind of like, you know, Chinese foot binding or the like lip extensions or the neck rings or, you know, just one of those cultural, physical, intentional changes. And ultimately, it resulted in a flat forehead and wider eyes, which they said was a hunting advantage. And so I can't, and of course there's no photographs of any of that. There are a few drawings, but nothing that really emphasized the forehead thing, even though that's what they all talked about. So I'm not quite sure how, flattening it, I don't know how that works exactly.
Well, widening the eyes being a hunting advantage seems quite a reach, like our stories this time.
Mm-hmm. Not true. You're not wrong.
Okay.
So.
What about what's right in front of you?
Well, yeah, I don't know. And that's what then for a minute I was like, are they flattening the sides? Like, are they like making themselves like a fish that they can see
flounder.
more peripheral? Because that would maybe be a hunting advantage. But I was like, no, they're saying they have flat foreheads. So like I can't figure out exactly what they were doing and how that becomes the advantage. And I don't know. So a few things to note basically with the Waxhaw Indians. There was the, again, gonna butcher it, Yamasee War that ranged somewhere between 1715 and 1717. And basically this was a war between the South Carolina colony and multiple Indian tribes in the area. And the reason we don't really know the timing of it, and there's like plenty of people are like, nope, it started here, it ended here, but there's so many varying dates of what that is, because it ultimately looked like the Indians didn't like that these people had colonized South Carolina. And they were like, no, we here. And so there's all this runaround of the Indians versus the
Cowboys.
Sure. Cowboys and the Indians. But you've got all these tribes that are also natural enemies, you know, like they're all warring with themselves. And so like you have a second where they all kind of fight against these people, but then they're like, well, I don't like you either. So they're kind of fighting themselves. And then you've got a tribe or two that would then, because they so dislike this other Indian tribe, they would join the colony to fight the Indians. And so it's been this weird amalgamation of little fights that are ongoing. And so in 1716, the Cherokee tribe sided with South Carolina, and that's one point that is considered a huge turning point in the war. And that kind of settled everything down and left South Carolina be. But there's still all this ongoing fighting, and so nobody really knows where it started or ended type of thing. But
plus, I imagine the record keeping.
Right.
Wasn't very great.
Yes. So yeah, just all this chaos with alliances changing everywhere, and it's just nuts. But this was also fueled by the Tuscarora War from 1711, a couple years prior, where, again, it was a similar thing of just too many people with different views all in the same area, and it's not going well. And there was something with that tribe, beer break, that tribe was warring with their normal Indian enemies, and I think some of the colony folk got involved, and then it just kind of spiraled and led into more frustrations, and so then it led to the continued chaos of side switching in the following war. Here, you can throw a little bit more in my glass too, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So it's just this like long series of different wars and things, but ultimately we get to a point where the Waxhaw tribe is basically wiped out, and just as much as there is not information on anything else, we don't really know how they got wiped out. There's several different theories and different pieces of evidence, but none of it's clear. None of it's 100% like, yes, this is definitely what happened.
Or do you have a conspiracy of your own? This could be a dual conspiracy episode.
There is one gentleman who solely believes that they continued on as their own normal tribe up until, I want to say, like 1740.
Okay.
And they just existed and carried on and kept on keeping on. And everybody else is like, you crazy. And he's like, no, it's true. So he's got his own conspiracy going.
Huh. He's the only one that
Yes.
believes that?
Yes.
Okay. Those are the best.
Yeah. But
Not as good as made up ones like I got
yes.
today.
But I mean, he's got whatever evidence that makes him believe it, but he is specifically called out as he wrote some, like I was gonna say like a scientific journal, but like an actual research journal publication where he explains exactly why this is the case, but nobody else has jumped on board to validate it or pursue that further. So he's kind of off on his own island with this theory. And other theories include that they just got completely wiped out in the Yamasee War. Others believe that they merged with a more Floridian tribe and kind of went back south with them. Others believe that they merged with the Catawba or some of the other local tribes. And then this one guy just believes they just kept on keeping on. And so there's not really any clarity on how much longer they existed and all of that.
Do you know numbers? Like how many? I don't know what a tribe it's like. What that means.
I don't either. And that was something that for the sheer amount, something that I learned was they were trying to figure out if this was a tribe, if Waxhaw was entirely its own tribe. A lot of people thought it was related to the Catawba tribe because they were physically so close and they shared language similarities. And then there was a different tribe who also did the forehead flattening thing. And so they thought maybe they were related to them. And so it's something that, and maybe this is like white America or non-Native American America, that we just are taught, there's 5 to 10 specific tribes, the big ones, there's Cherokee, Shawnee,
Apache.
Right. Like there's the big ones that we're all kind of familiar with to name recognition degree. Yeah. But there's that level. But below that, as I was reading through this with these battles, they listed off all these tribes. And I was like, I've never heard of 95% of these tribes. And so I think you and I were having the discussion the other day, just even in the military, how you go from, I learned it really well, but like your platoon, your team, your all the levels of groupings that you have. I think it's very similar to that with the tribes, is there's a big tribe, but from that, it's almost like families. And so Waxhaw might have been a sort of subdivision of a bigger tribe, but
because
hard to say which.
It depends on where you read about it. Like sometimes a tribe sounds like thousands of people that's like spread across half the U.S. Right. But then other times tribe feels like 10 people.
Yes.
And so I don't know. what makes something
and that could also just
another.
be kind of our general culture where, again, in common day military, we've created a different word to associate to each number of like the grouping. So each whatever.
So you're saying like a tribe doesn't have to.
A tribe might be a universal term for all of those.
Yeah,
so instead of having a platoon versus a team, it's just, we call it a tribe. And obviously over the years, we've treated the Indians with a whole lot of respect.
Oh,
so we cared a lot to make sure we were accurate in the way
right?
that we, totally. We were super accurate in how we named all of their groupings. And so it was probably, we were just like, it's a tribe. And just like never bothered to really distinguish. And from there, it's now historically confusing as crap because we don't see the kind of hierarchy of who is nested under who and who is the like overarching theme and whatever. And we just call them all tribes. And so we don't know.
I mean,
and that's the way I have started looking at it since doing this research, but I have no idea.
it's a shame I don't know this because Poppy, for those of you who don't know him personally, is my grandpa.
No way. With a name like Poppy?
Yeah, by marriage, but he is 100% Lumbee Indian. And
Another type of Indian I had never heard of before.
they're from the Lumberton area.
What?
But I think it's because of the Lumbee River, and they're from that area. But
Yeah.
I don't know how much he knows. But
Right.
I mean, being 100%, he should know 100%.
But I mean, it's also something too, like, we've not preserved Native American culture well. And where I come from in Pennsylvania, I come from literally the area I live in is Shawnee. There's the Shawnee Inn. There's the Shawnee Indian Museum. Like, I've been to the Indian Museum multiple times in my life. It's walking distance from my house growing up. And it's something that, you know, as the generations that have come later, we think we're doing this good thing by preserving their culture and history, but we're doing it in such a vague way that it's like, cool, that's a humanity thing, not a specific tribe thing. And so the things I'm remembering from the Shawnee History Museum are, they carved arrowheads, and they shot bows, and they put feathers in their cap. Like,
they played these certain types of games.
Yes, like, it's such a generic history. It's like,
true.
okay, well, I could say all people live hopefully in a house. Like, it's just such, at least in this point in history, people live in houses. They go to school until they're 18, and that doesn't suit everybody, whatever. But it's such a general history that it doesn't tell me anything about the difference between North Carolina living and Pennsylvania living.
Like in North Carolina, you're not a town unless you have a mill. But we found that to not be true.
Right. But yeah, so it's just something that the way we've preserved that history is so like glossed over that I don't know. And I hate that for us, but it's unless we literally go onto an Indian reservation and they are willing to accept us enough to talk about it, which I've never tried. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know
I'm
what
sure
I know
they
in
would,
movies. But
well, we're going to do a Charlotte Buzz field trip to the Cherokee Casino.
are we? And I don't think that counts.
Let's see how that goes.
I don't think that counts. And this is the first time I'm learning about this field trip. So,
yeah. We're going to do it.
Oh, okay.
If enough people are interested.
Yeah. It'll be a meet and greet.
Cherokee Casino.
Yeah. But, so history is not very well preserved there, unfortunately. One cool thing is there is a man by the name of John Lawson who was a kind of adventurer and a surveyor. And he went through the Carolinas and Georgia, and he ended up writing a book and whatever, and ultimately was killed by the Tuscarora Indians, like just during that war, that first war. Basically, they were captured and killed. And he just gave a lot of really interesting observations on the whole shtick, which would be a book I'd be very interested to see what his thoughts were, but just one random thing I thought was fun was he said that they had the largest iron cooking pots he had ever seen.
Probably large enough for people. Like
Oh,
him.
goodness. And there goes any Indian history we have preserved. Oh, goodness. But yeah. So, and I mean, also, if we really want to be super culturally sensitive, we have named the town Indian Trail, not like Native American Trail. Yeah. So let's...
Or Waxhaw Trail.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So that's all a thing. But that's pretty much it. I definitely want to dive deeper and see, and especially as an adult, because I've gone to the Shawnee History Museum multiple times in my younger years, to see what I could pull out that's a little more, or a little less generic, I guess. But
yeah, I think, that's been a theme of these outer lying towns that we've been hitting for the last however many episodes. Yeah. There's stuff there. You just gotta be boots on the ground to really get it. So, we'll do better. Yeah.
This has been, this is where we end season 1. So it's been something that it's brand new to us, the entire podcasting thing, let alone the history diving into for this area. And I
think it kind of molded into something that we weren't
fully prepared for.
Yeah, like we weren't
expecting it to be this way.
We weren't really expecting it to be a history podcast. Yeah. It turned into that, and I think it will work.
We just, like now that we know that, we can go into it with those research eyes. But we know it's been a interesting winding road the last 20 weeks. Mm-hmm. And we're concluding the season on this episode, and we're going to take 6 weeks off, and then we'll be back for season 2, and season 2 is going to start on August 15th, so mark your calendars. We'll be back, and keep in tabs with us online, because we are going to dive deeper into a lot of this in season 2, and we would love your recommendations for which breweries you'd like to see in season 2, which towns you'd like us to feature, even if you don't have a specific brewery in mind. If you have specific stories, whether it's about your family or just something you heard or anything that we can start diving into, let us know.
Yeah, you're gonna come season 2. We'll have a new looking set.
Hey. If there's people that like we're gonna try to look up this gentleman who is cataloging history in Indian Trail, but if there's someone that who's, your neighbor is a big history buff, let us know. Get us in contact with them. We'd love to talk to them and just get some information. And
yeah, it'd be really helpful if
we want to do better justice to some of these stories.
It'd be really helpful if you wrote a book about Charlotte history and want to tell us about it.
Yeah,
and then,
but really though,
we'll plug it. Mm-hmm. I mean,
absolutely, we would.
Duh.
Absolutely.
I mean, Donald Moore didn't even ask for me to plug his Facebook page, but I did.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. If you want to come in and talk about it yourself, please.
Yeah.
We like guests.
If you have any interesting Instagram pages.
Yeah.
Like saving bees that we didn't know about to talk about before.
And then got harassed by JTAP. Man. Didn't even mention it to us and then busted us.
Yeah. But
I'm going to call you out every episode, JTAP.
But Save the Bees. Oh, we had a new fella say that he enjoyed our podcast.
Yeah, we've had more of our listeners point themselves out that they exist. We had Mr. B.
1313.
Mr. B 1313. Because it rhymes. Oh. I mean, I don't know. I don't know his actual name.
Yeah.
But
he's
more
private.
people are calling themselves out. So if you are also one of our listeners, let us know. And tell us stories. Tell us all the things. But hope y'all have enjoyed our first season ever. And trying to figure it all out. And finding our rhythm. And you can expect a lot from us the next season. August 15th. Mark your calendars. And make sure that you are involved on all the socials so you can see what's upcoming and get involved with season 2 and all the fun stuff we've got heading your way.
Yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. If
Father's
during
Day
this-
just passed,
yeah.
but tell your daddy.
If during these 6 weeks you get bored, you're like, I need my Charlotte Buzz podcast, re-listen. You were probably like driving, texting your peeps, doing something, and you might have missed something.
It's true.
So just re-listen to it.
Fair enough.
Undownload it, re-download it, replay it,
Yikes.
all that jazz.
Create a new account, download it a whole bunch of times.
Yeah. Or tell your family and friends, listen with them.
There you go.
Put it up on the Apple TV.
When your family
YouTube.
is having difficulties communicating, find a new avenue to just meet in the middle and just talk about the stupidity of two folks trying to represent Charlotte history.
Yeah. And if you just
We'll
listen
bring
to
your
the
families
podcast,
together.
If you just listen to the podcast, that 6 weeks is the perfect time to go back and watch on YouTube.
Hey, that's true. There are little tidbits on YouTube that you don't get in the audio version.
Photos occasionally.
You get random bloopers and shenanigans that I'll post right at the start.
All the hard work that I put up during the Buzz Bracket with all the motion
Those graphics were
graphics.
bomb. They were excellent.
Check them out.
Yeah.
But we'll see you soon.
Enjoy your summers. Don't melt. I would say go enjoy playing in the outside. Drew would highly disagree with that.
Get you some popsicles and just chill inside.
He wants your AC to be put down to 60 degrees and you to sit in a dark cave and watch movies and Netflix all day.
Yeah.
I want you to go run around in the sun, enjoy sweating because it'll fade soon enough, and get you a tan, jump in a pool, jump in a lake.
Yeah, wait till it snows to enjoy the outside.
Yikes. Have a great summer, guys, and we will see you all on August 15th.
Check you later.
Bye.